women in leadership is something, we've been looking at. And as I said earlier, women are now coming out to vote, Supriya, women voters. But in terms of women in leadership, who, if you were looking, say, in the current and the past, who would you say is, for you, has been an icon or a decisive woman leader that you would really like to talk about?
I think without a doubt, Mrs. Gandhi, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi.
I have put a caveat there.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I was a journalist, I was a mature grown-up when the UPA was in power. I saw the kind of reforms that she spearheaded. I saw the kind of reforms and decisions that she was the primary architect of, with, of course, Dr. Manmohan Singh. I think a lot of people from my generation otherwise would have said Mrs. Gandhi, Indira ji. But I haven't seen, I was perhaps way too young when she was the Prime Minister. But I've seen Mrs. Gandhi, and I've also been fortunate enough to be, to be in close quarters with her. And she's a remarkable human being. She's extremely empathetic. The fact that she has a great sense of humor just adds to the advantage of being around her. So without a doubt, it would be her. And I'm not saying this wearing a political hat. If you ask most politicians across the spectrum, her dignity and her grace, I wish I had an iota of that.
Neeja, women leaders, we always judge them by not so much as what they do, but where are they coming from? Do they have a godfather? Do they, there is a whole lot that is attached. So when you are judging a woman leader, what do you see? And do you feel that all these extras also come in the play?
Yeah, Priya, if you look at the journey of women in politics, which we are going to be talking about, and you look at the freedom struggle, let me just go back to this. Indian women had a head start. They got their voting rights very easily and equal rights given by the Constitution. Now, that's not what the Western women had. And I was recalling this morning that Gandhi ji appointed Sarojini Naidu as the president of the Congress Party in 1924, when only 1% of women could read and write. So the leadership was very forward-looking at that time. And of course, when independence came, we got. But after independence, they did not get a share in the power structure. And, 5.4% or whatever it was in the Lok Sabha in the first election, to today 13.4% in the 18th Lok Sabha. जैसे कहते हैं ना हम रेंगते रहे. We had, after independence, 1 cabinet minister. South Africa had 10 cabinet ministers after liberation. So I would say, to answer your question now, that जब महिलाओं के बारे में बात होती है ना, तो how good is she? How competent is she going to be? The goodness becomes a criteria. It's not that it is their due right to be in the country's politics and the power structure. Supriya, she is my co-panelist, but I'm going to say it today. She's compelled her opponents to take note of her. Hard work.
Thank you very much.
Hard work, marshalling your arguments, getting your facts right. And I would say that about most spokespersons of parties today, women spokespersons. I hope she'll go further and she'll go places. Her party will give her due. लेकिन ये जो कहते हैं ना, अरे पर उसने क्या किया, कैसी है, एकदम लद्दू फद्दू है. It's a way of dismissing women without giving them. And I will say this also, Supriya, the most known chehra in your party, Priyanka, after Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, is Priyanka Gandhi Vadra. Should she not have been given one of the UP seats, Amethi and Raebareli, to contest from? Last election, it was Ladki Hoon, Lad Sakti Hoon, it bombed, but your party is completely decimated in UP. It needs time to build. But no, she wasn't given either of those seats, and she will be contesting from Wayanad, vacated by her brother.
If I may respond to that question, firstly, thank you very much. I think opponents take note if you marshal your facts in. I think it's the same for a man or a woman. When you're on air or when you're taking on your opponents, it doesn't matter what your gender is. I think it matters what your caliber is. It matters how much research you've done. It matters how many facts you're willing to throw in their face. And will be forced to take notes. So thank you very much for the compliment, Neerja ji. And you're somebody as a journalist also, I've looked up to. You know, let's not make politics an exception as far as roles of women are concerned. I have headed newsrooms like these. I was the executive editor at ET Now, and I know there's a certain bias against women, and especially women who get into matrimony. The next obvious thing that an editor will tell you is, you know what, she's going to have a baby, should we promote her this year? Hell yes, you will promote her this year. And I ensured that women who worked with me, and I'm very proud of the fact that women who worked with me were promoted. They could avail their maternity leave. I made special provisions for them because they were lactating mothers even after they joined work. I think these are things that are true not just for politics, but for workplaces in general. But if I may take on the question that you left, there is a bias that comes even from the assumption that Priyanka Gandhi should have contested one of the 2 seats of UP. I think we did not want to fall into the trap of the BJP. We did not want her restricted in those 2 seats for the rest of the campaign. She was campaigning in Raebareli. She was spearheading the campaign in Amethi. She was also doing multiple campaigns across the country. So we did not want her to be cowed down to that 1 seat where she was contesting. And the truth is that if you contest a seat, and I've contested an election on my own, if you contest a seat, you will be cowed down there. You cannot get out. So I don't think we would have fallen into the BJP's trap. I do believe she's a very assertive woman, and I hope to see her in parliament soon, and I hope those elections will be notified that happen. But I will say that, you know, as far as women in politics are concerned, we perhaps have to go an extra mile to prove ourselves. There is no denying that, because nobody questions the caliber of a man, but a woman's caliber, a woman's capacity, a woman's ability to how much time she can give. And I was hearing a part of the conversation that you were having with the previous panel, and being at the receiving end of that onslaught every single day, I will tell you one thing. I head the social media for the Congress party. I am one of their vociferous speakers. The only threat and the only abuse that a woman gets on social media is sexual in nature. You will be abused, and the line where I draw is, I don't care about these 2 rupee trolls, because they get their strength from anonymity. And I say this over and over again. Chances are that the same troll who's trolling me, if he bumps into me at the airport, will ask me for a selfie. And I've seen this happen. It's true. But the anonymity, the fact that you're a faceless troll sitting somewhere, you can call me names. The only line I draw is when they attack your children. That's the line I draw. If they attack my daughter sexually, if they say anything sexual about her, I take them to the cleaners and I ensure that they're either arrested, they're nabbed, they're answerable for it. But otherwise, you know, who cares? You've got to have a thick skin, like you have, you know, I think women in general, the moment you step out of your house, it's unfortunate, but you're forced to have a thick skin. Because, you know, even in edit meetings, there are 20 people who are sitting in that edit meeting, chances are 18 of them are men, and there are 2 women. You've got to speak the loudest to be heard, or you've got to be the sharpest in that room. So I do believe that I think a certain amount of hardening of skin is very important. And you shouldn't pay attention to these trolls. I mean, who are they? They are anonymous trolls who don't have a life. वो चिंटू चंडीगढ़ में बैठ के मेरे बारे में क्या कह रहा है, मुझे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? What matters to me is what somebody who knows me, what matters to me is an opinion from Neerja Chaudhary, who's a journalist I've looked up to, who's very critical of me sometimes. But her opinion matters to me. Somebody sitting in, Patna, or somebody sitting in Lucknow saying something about me from the, anonymity of his notepad or his phone, how does it matter?
But yet, I agree with you. In fact, and we've seen you, you walk your talk also, which is...
I'll tell you something. The only time I engage with a troll is when the troll is a known troll. If it is somebody from a responsible position of authority, an editor of a newspaper, a president of a channel, a bureaucrat who I know is in a position of authority and is doing this and is harassing me, I will take them to the cleaners, and I do. But other than that, who cares, yeah?
Well said. But, for every...
I would say, Supriya, who cares is one part of the story. Yeah. But if something is said about you as a woman in politics or in public life that's demeaning, it demeans me also.
Absolutely
it
it
demeans the rest
does.
of us also.
Absolutely it does.
And
but how you pick your battles to fight. You can't fight with 20,000 comments under your tweet by some anonymous trolls. You will pick your battles. I will pick a battle if the president of a news organization is sending me a message at 2 a.m. in the morning. I will bloody take him to the cleaners. But if somebody is writing a tweet under me, or Shazia is sitting here, she's from my opposing party,
course,
I don't think we're going to care about replying to 2,000 tweets under us.
And of course, if you compare today to 10 years ago, when this would be taken, people would take it in their stride. Today, if somebody in authority makes that kind of a comment, people come down on him like a ton of bricks. So there is that consciousness that has come about.
But Ninja, given, we are also going to be having a conversation with Shazia, but right now I want to talk about the Congress. How do you see the Congress as a party? Is it a very patriarchal, or are they liberal? They talk very liberal. But, if you see the women, we are hearing a story of a Shelja who's left out, of a Priyanka who has to wait in turn for her brother. Where is the women empowerment within the Congress? And of the two, do you think which party is worse?
I would ask that question. Today's Parliament, 18th Lok Sabha, the BJP has 31 women members. The Congress has the reverse figure, 13. TMC, a regional party, has 11, just 2 behind. Now, I gave the example of somebody as prominent a chehra as Priyanka, not getting what I felt should have been her due. So yes, Congress also, and Shelja, one of the reasons why I think she would have reacted is being not trolled necessarily, but all kinds of things were said about her, because she's a woman, then she's a Dalit. There are other factors also. Shelja versus Mr. Huda politics, that's a different thing. But the point is, and the Congress party needs to ask itself this question. As the party of the freedom struggle which resulted in equal rights being given to women in the Constitution, today women have made it into every single profession. We saw the sportswomen, scientists, army, space, all the things that were male bastions. They have broken glass ceilings, they have navigated their way through minefields, entrenched biases, and they have made it. Why is it that politics and the political arena does not admit them as it should? And the Congress party, as the grand old party of India, as I said, 13 versus 31. It's
an unfair comparison, and I'll tell you why. It's an unfair comparison because if you look at the proportionate total numbers of the BJP vis-a-vis a percentage of women there, ours is still higher between the total numbers of MPs and women here. I don't think we should make this a mudslinging match between the Congress and the BJP. After I joined mainstream politics, I think one of the most empowering things that I have seen in my career, first as a journalist, now as a woman in public life, is the Bharat Jodo Yatra. I thought the way women walked in the Bharat Jodo Yatra, we had never seen women walk like that before. They never held the hand of a political leader, walked with their heads held high. They felt safe in that environment where they were walking. I think it was a path-breaking event that happened in our history. I do believe it gave women the position and the space to voice their opinions in a very, very safe environment. I do believe, and again, I don't think you should look at a Shailaja ji or as a Priyanka ji as victims of womanhood. I think they are very, very empowered women. More empowered than most women in public and political life.
Not getting their due.
Let me just finish. You cannot decide what their due is. I do believe political commentators cannot decide what Priyanka Gandhi should be doing or not be doing. A lot of what she does is, and I remember having this conversation with her, a lot of what she does is her decision. The reality that she led that huge campaign in UP, it may have not been a political success, but I do believe that the fact that Ladki Hoon Lad Sakti Hoon was an experiment that we could do in UP, a completely male bastion for politics, hats off to her. I remember she was asked in an event like this by a news agency that do you think you should have been in politics 10 years before? And she said 10 years before my daughter was 8 years old, I wouldn't leave her alone at home. I think women wear those kind of hats as well, and you can't deny that. But I do want to say, when you talk about the BJP versus the Congress, there are two things I want to point out for the benefit of this room, and judge us for yourselves. In our Raipur session, we made a change to the Indian National Congress's constitution. 50% of all office bearers will be SC, ST, OBC, minority and women under the age of 50. That's path-breaking, and we walked the talk on that. I mean, I am a member of CWC. It's proof enough that if you're a professional, you make your way into politics, and the fact that you've been able to deliver, you will, you will rise the ranks. The BJP, on the other hand, I was very happy that the women's reservation bill was finally made a reality. But why does it have to depend on delimitation and on census? We know that this is not going to be a reality before 2034. So it's a carrot that you dangle for women, but it's a carrot that women can't consume, because this is not going to be a reality. At least for my generation, I don't see this happening before 2034. But I still believe on women's issues, we should not be slinging mud. For instance, I'll tell you, I take on my opponents very much. I am very vociferous on Twitter. I am very vociferous on TV debates. But the moment somebody crosses a line, even for my opponent, on the basis of their gender, I don't respond. I don't like a tweet where a female anchor is being responded to in a not dignified way. You can call a female anchor biased, of course I'll engage with it. But the moment you start calling female anchors all sorts of names, or even my opponents all sorts of names, I'm going to back off. I will not be a part of a conversation where anybody is being attacked for their gender, and women the least.
Just a quick
One
one.
last-
That's a judgment call that I have made. But that's not a judgment call that my opponents make, and which is what perhaps makes me different from them.
One line response to you, Supriya. Whereas political commentators, journalists cannot decide what should be the due of political personalities, they can have an opinion.
Absolutely, and you must. And you must. And I do believe that because you have an opinion is why our democracy is still surviving. We don't believe that because you are speaking against us, you should be gagged and an UAPA case should be filed against you.
No, wait. No, that is another question.
Sir,
we will come to
you're
you
the audience.
later.
This conversation is happening here.
Sir, we will come to you later, but you're not invited to speak on the panel, so please keep quiet. My last, sorry, you finished? Yeah, quick question before we go. We were talking about opponents and sparring partners. I see a lot on the debates with BJP, and you take a lot of spokespersons. But given a choice between a Amit Malviya or a Sudhanshu Trivedi or a Gaurav Bhatia, whom would you like to indulge in a debate with?
Neither. None of them come prepared with facts. They come with mudslinging. You know exactly the arguments they are going to make before the debate starts. And very often, and more so now, I see them hitting below the belt even on TV shows. I mean, my colleague Shama Muhammad was here, and she was attacked on TV because she is a practicing Muslim. She was attacked for being a madrasa-bred bigot, being called a jihadi on television. And let me tell you, the anchor did not object to it, which hurts me deeply. I mean, Shazia is here. I hugely differ with her. I disagree with her on 10 out of 10 things. But if somebody called her that on air, I will stand in support of her. The anchor did not say anything, and the BJP got away with murder. That's where you draw a line.
Thank you so much. And that is really the power of the sisterhood. Thank you, Supriya
Thank
and
you very
Nija,
much.
for being here. And we welcome to a conversation with Shazia after this. Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.